Who's gonna be the next character to abstract in the Amazing Digital Circus? We first found out about abstracting in episode 1 with Kaufmo, where he turned into this huge black horse-like monster with eyes all over his body. And we know that abstraction happens if characters reach their breaking points and they lose their mind and become these abstractions. And at first, we thought that abstracting meant that the character died, and technically we can say that because the characters do leave their original bodies behind or transform into an abstraction. But who's going to be the next character to abstract, and could it actually be someone who we're not expecting? But first, let's see what we know about Kaufmo, so that way we can take that information and put it together with the current circus members to see who's gonna abstract next. If we look at Kaufmo, he was originally a clown character, and Ragatha and Gangle said that they didn't really find him funny and they only fake laughed at his jokes. So maybe this way they pushed Kaufmo away, and that was what started to make him feel lonely. So he started spending more time alone in his room, and he just wanted a way out of the game since he couldn't really connect with the other circus members on a level that he wanted to. And we saw how obsessed he became with the exit door, because his whole room was covered in writings on the wall and some paintings about the exit door. And so I'm guessing that Kaufmo kept searching for the exit, and he might have actually found an exit door just like how Pomni did, and he went through it, and maybe Kane wasn't as quick as he was in Pomni's case, and Kane couldn't bring Kaufmo back from the void in time, and so he was so far away that he eventually reached his breaking point and lost his sense of reality and abstracted. And maybe this means that if Kane couldn't stop him in the void, he might have crossed a border, which Pomni couldn't because Kane teleported and took her back to the circus, and Kaufmo actually crossed out of that border into the real world. And the abstracted version of him is what is left behind. For example, I think that Kane might actually know that Kaufmo abstracted, because when Kane says, "Kaufmo abstracted, why didn't anybody tell me?" He sounds so sarcastic. Why would he be this sarcastic if he didn't actually know? And so what I think could have happened is that Kaufmo escaped, Kane put him back in his room and let him run rampant, and thankfully it didn't go too crazy. Even though Ragatha was in excruciating pain, at least Kaufmo didn't get to the other circus members and stuck with beating up the glowing queen NPC. But here's what I mean when Kaufmo might have escaped. If you look at the void, what do you see? White pixels. What do we know the Amazing Digital Circus is? A video game. Video games have pixels to render out images that our eyes can see. And so when you get so far out into the void, into the pixels, and you see the white pixels floating, then you're looking towards the exit of the game, the computer screen, because the computer screen we see at the end of the episode, guess what it is? It is plain white. It is plain white. And so the void could be the pixels to the screen, and Kaufmo could have went through those pixels, which Pomni unfortunately couldn't because Kane took her back, and he actually could have escaped, which is crazy to me because abstracting is seen as giving up. The circus members slightly mentioned that giving up is what makes you to abstract, but this could be a lie that Kane has told them, and that Kane said, oh yeah, he gave up and he abstracted and he lost his mind. No. It could have been that Kaufmo actually escaped, and that's why he left behind an abstraction, left it behind. But now let's figure out who will be the next person to abstract, or maybe even escape. One of the most popular theories is that Queenie used to be Kinger's wife, who abstracted at one point, and that's what made Kinger the way he is. Because we saw how he gets scared easily, and he just seems like he's inside of his own head most of the time. Like in episode 2, throughout the whole adventure, he seemed like he's not even there. And this could be because Kinger is confirmed to be the first one that joined the circus out of the existing circus members, and as far as we know, it could even mean it was decades ago. And if he spent more than 10 years there and even lost his supposed wife at some point, then of course we could understand why he seems a bit crazy. And I honestly think that Kinger is a strong candidate of who's gonna abstract next, because he's kind of unstable. And I'm thinking that Kinger could probably tell us a lot about the circus and the previous members who abstracted, but since we saw how he usually forgets what he was talking about mid-sentence, I don't think we'll get to see him talk too much about the past, and for that, I don't really think he can get obsessed with exiting the game, so probably Kinger should be safe, except for maybe he gets into a situation where he goes through an exit door by accident and just exits the game unintentionally. But I'm hoping he doesn't abstract soon because he's my favorite character. I want to see him keep talking to the circus members, okay? Kinger, please stay in the circus for like 100 more episodes and then you're good. But now let's look at a stronger candidate, which is Jax, especially with how we saw him in episode 2. When the trailer for the episode came out, I honestly thought that Jax is gonna be depressed and he'd be the first one to abstract. However, we saw that actually he was just disappointed in the adventure because apparently it lacked violence, and so he felt bored throughout the whole thing. And we can guess that Jax probably keeps himself sane by bullying the others and searching for every way possible to spice the adventures up, and that's what keeps him sane. However, at the end of the second episode, we saw something weird, and it was that Jax actually showed some emotion. When the other characters talked about Kaufmo's funeral, we saw that Jax got a teeny bit sad. So maybe it's possible that he actually struggles to keep up with his tough guy persona and deep down is fighting against his own emotions. But since he chooses not to be friendly with the others, maybe it will result in him drifting away and eventually abstract. Jax shouldn't fight his emotions, but don't let them control him either. He needs to be human. But I don't know if he'll abstract necessarily that soon, because Gooseworks did say that we'll see more of his evil side in the next episodes. So he'll probably occupy his mind a bit more with the constant violence that he wants for whatever weird reason, and then he should last a few more episodes, but I think that his negative nature actually could be more likely to make him abstract. So maybe it's Zooble who's gonna abstract next. It would make sense because we saw her the least in the first 2 episodes, right? But we actually know from Gooseworks that episode 3 is going to focus on her, and Gooseworks said that Zooble is going to have more dialogue in episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if Gooseworks is telling the truth, then it means that Zooble is safe throughout the whole season. But we probably can't say the same about Gangle. Next to Zooble, she's the other character that we saw the least of during episode 1 and 2. And what we know about her is that she's very emotional, and Jax also seems to give her a hard time, because he's constantly hurting her either physically or mentally. So maybe it's gonna be Jax who will push Gangle to the edge and then she'll abstract. And I think it is possible that Gangle could be next to abstract, because Gooseworks said that we'll have an episode around the question that why Gangle isn't allowed to feel happiness for longer than a few minutes. And maybe she meant that she's very close to her breaking point, and that's why she can't protect her happy mask, leading to her feeling sad and miserable all the time. And so another possibility of who's gonna abstract next is actually Ragatha. We saw that she's trying to cope by being extremely kind to everyone, just like how she visited Pomni the next day after Pomni left her behind to die, and not only forgave her, but she looked out for her throughout episode 2's adventure, until of course they got separated from each other. But still, when Pomni and Ragatha reunited, she came running over to Pomni as if a worried mother, which is so admirable that Ragatha, even though Pomni has done all these terrible things to her, she still loves Pomni, which shows that Ragatha is very caring and kind of heart. But we do know that she is really repressing her own feelings, and she shouldn't stop loving Pomni, but she needs to tell Pomni how she feels, and they can then love each other instead of it just being one-sided. And in episode 1 as well, we saw how emotional she can be, and if she really lets her thoughts run around freely in her mind, she can send herself into an existential crisis. So maybe we'll see Ragatha reach her breaking point in one of these next episodes. And lastly is Pomni. I do think after episode 2, Pomni reevaluated her feelings about being in the circus, because she was shocked in episode 1 and 2, and she even lost her friend Gummy Goo. But towards the end of episode 2, we saw how she actually realized that what can keep her sane is if she tries to be friendly toward the circus members, and this way her nightmare won't become a reality where she dreamed that nobody loved her, which obviously isn't true, and isn't true for anybody. Everyone is loved by someone, and even if you don't have that someone, God loves you. And so if Pomni really tries to connect with the others and make real friendships, she'll probably be safe throughout the season. Plus, she is the main character of the show, so she kinda has plot armor. So my guess is either Gangle or Ragatha will be the ones to abstract next. But let me know down in the comments who you think is gonna abstract next. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video here.